5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have...
Hello, my fellow nerds and xenomorphs. It's Nick here from Icor Comics, bringing the most iconic and amazing science fiction from around the universe. Looper is directed by Ryan Johnson and stars Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis.
They use specialized assassins like me, called loopers.
You're a looper?
You know what we do? And the only rule is never let your target escape, even if your target.
And they are the same person. It follows a time-traveling assassin. Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays an assassin hired by the mob to kill people. Since time travel is highly illegal in the future, the mafia or mob sends the people back to Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he assassinates them for a high price, mostly silver bars. So once again, only criminals use time travel. It's highly illegal, highly outlawed, used in secret. Joseph Gordon-Levitt handles a blunderbuss, which is also another cool addition to this movie. It's a huge shotgun, mostly used by pirates. I don't know the practicality in using something that large. I think it was so there's no chance they can miss the target. So whoever comes out from the future and shows up on, most of the time they have a cloth or an area they use, and they can, hit the individual with a blunderbuss very, very easy. So essentially a baby can use it. So they minimize any chance of that person getting away, which we'll get into a little bit later. But it's kind of outrageous that it takes place in 2044 initially, and they're still utilizing the blunderbuss, which is an ancient weapon, essentially similar to them using a katana when they pop out, just slicing their head off. It's almost the same principle concept, and they age. I'm turning this like a little bit. There we go. Didn't even need it. Anyway, so like I said, criminals use loopers to dispose of bodies. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is a looper, and he disposes of those bodies in his current time. So since it's illegal in the future, they send it back in time. He disposes of the bodies in his time. So goes into the streets. He's in Kansas, so I believe it's Kansas City. They don't really say the city, but he goes in the city, and the city's in chaos, and there's people, shooting each other and doing drugs, and the strippers all over the place, and it's essentially like a crazy, crazy version of Las Vegas. People shooting up drugs and just depravity and chaos everywhere you look. So it goes on to tell us that 10% of the population has what's known as TK, or telekinetic abilities, so they can move things around with their mind, just like Jean Grey from X-Men. But it's very minimal in this current society. So they can move around quarters or flip tricks, try to impress girls. That's basically what it's utilized for in the current time that's taking place. So we go on and kind of shows around, he goes to a strip club and starts doing drugs, and he has his little eye drops. He takes this psycho hallucinogen, dropping it into his eye, and then he becomes high off of it. So he's a junkie in this current era. Assassin, junkie, junkie, assassin. He doesn't have a very fulfilling life. He doesn't have a family. He's single. He's just dependent on his killings and him getting paid by his company or this mob or mafia. So there's a recurring plot in this film where if your future self comes back and you kill him, it's known as closing your loop, essentially. So you kill him for a payday, and usually you can last 30 years, about 30 years, which is the plot of this movie, on the pay you get from killing yourself, essentially. So it's basically closing your loop and firing you, terminating you, and you kill yourself. But also with termination, you get paid. So it's like a severance package. But to close your own loop, you have to kill your future self. So this is kind of the perplexity of this movie. So we come into Joseph Gordon-Levitt's life, as I was saying, him going through various stages of his day, going back and forth, killing various people, getting repaid. He keeps a huge stash of bars underneath his floor in his house. So it's a bunch of silver. So they get silver for every kill besides themselves. So when they close their loop, they get gold bars. Gold bars, they can last them a long, long time. Silver bars, also quite a bit of money, but he stores half of his silver underneath his floorboards, or this floor safe he has, and then the rest of it he goes and blows on drugs and strip clubs and all the other nonsense that JGL does in this movie. He's kind of a bad person, and we'll see his character shift towards the end of it. Also, spoilers, if you haven't seen my videos before, spoilers in this movie, or this review. So if you haven't seen Looper, go check it out. It's a very good movie. But if you have seen it, stick with me, and we'll talk about all the spoilers. So we're introduced to Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis plays the same character in the future. So he's coming back to the future to JGL. So initially, when we see Bruce Willis, he comes in on this area that JGL has set out. JGL goes to shoot him with the blunderbuss. Bruce Willis turns around, and there's a bunch of gold bricks, or sorry, not gold bricks, but gold bars on his back. So attached to his back, he has gold bars. Turns around, takes the blunderbuss shot to the back, and then grabs one of the gold bars, turns around, chucks it at JGL's head, and then he runs at him and then knocks him out. So Bruce Willis escapes JGL, and then they go into the city on this crazy cat and mouse hunt, and he ends up saving JGL. So there's that one where initially it kind of goes back and forth between two different scenes. The same scene happening two different ways, so we kind of get this time-traveling looper. So we go back to the same exact scene. Bruce Willis shows up, appears on, time traveling through time, and then goes on this mat that JGL has laid out. And they always come in with a bag over their head, and then, hands taped to, their waist or whatever, their chest, and then gold bars everywhere, silver bars. So usually their hands are taped to their back, and the bars are on the back, and then they hit them right in the chest, so you can make an easy kill, and then you can collect their payday and then dispose of the body appropriately. But sometimes, things change. So it goes back to Bruce Willis appearing, and he gets shot right in the chest. So JGL takes him out, takes the payday, and then it goes through this transitional period in the movie where it shows the next 30 years of JGL's life, him collecting his pay, his gold bars, him storing his gold bars under the safe, and living out the next 30 years of his life. So it's this little quirk that I didn't catch the first time I watched this. Obviously, it's about 6 years old now. It came out in 2014. So Jeff Daniels is in the movie. Jeff Daniels is the mob boss that the mob sent back from the future to manage the loopers in the current time. So 2044 has Jeff Daniels managing his loopers, and he's also from the future. So it's kind of an interesting concept. Also, Jeff Daniels is fantastic in this movie. It's one of my favorite performances from Jeff Daniels because he's serious the entire time. I don't know why, but he's very, very funny. Very, very funny. Dumb and Dumber and a bunch of other movies he's been in. But whenever Jeff Daniels is serious, it's a great, great movie. He has great acting ability. He has very, very high range that people do not give him credit for. But JGL is the mafia boss, and he's managing these loopers in the current time. So they come in and out and collect their pay and give them bars and whatnot. So they pay them essentially 50%-ish. They don't really go over that to the company or the mob, and then they keep their earnings for the kill, whatnot, yada, yada, yada. So it goes on from there, and so it shows him collecting it, all that stuff, and he finally Jeff Daniels tells him to go check out China. So he's learning French. He wants to go to France. He's like, Jeff Daniels like, I'm from the future. It's actually kind of a funny scene. He's like, why the hell are you learning French? Like, I'm from the future. Go check out China. China's the future. It's Shanghai. So shows JGL going to Shanghai with all this money. The next 30 years, he finally meets which the scenes have him transition from JGL to Bruce Willis very abruptly, I might add. So JGL kind of grows out his hair, and he looks fine. It's JGL. He always looks good. And young Bruce Willis looked good too. They do a little CGI and kind of alter his face around, makeup and whatnot to make JGL look like Bruce Willis a little bit. And you can kind of tell in certain scenes it's very, very prevalent, especially when he's in the sunlight and you're like, holy crap, like that's okay. Like they went a little bit overboard. But in this transitional period, it has JGL transitioning to Bruce Willis in China. And this is by far the worst shot of the scene. By far the worst shot. If you haven't seen it in a while, check it out because yeah. So JGL grows out his hair long, and then they transition to Bruce Willis, and Bruce Willis has long hair, but it's today's Bruce Willis, so it's like it's not working. It's not working. And you guys know Bruce Willis, like he's been around for a long time. Those of you that don't, Die Hard, he's been in a lot of different movies, especially in the early 90s, Mercury Rising, been in Glass, Unbreakable, stuff like that. But he's been bald for about 40 years. I mean, like Red, like anything G.I. Joe, anything I can think of, Bruce Willis is bald besides like early 90s shit where he has, even then he doesn't have that much hair. So they put this wig on and it looks preposterous. Bruce Willis, you can tell Bruce Willis in the camera, he's just like what am I doing? And it's Ryan Johnson, so like Bruce Willis staring at Ryan Johnson, that's hilarious. Anyway, the scene is preposterous. But moving on, it has Bruce Willis scene, and he only has long hair. I think they figured out like it was a terrible idea because he only has long hair in the one scene, and then after that he's bald. Like the next scene he's bald, and then so it shows him in this bar. He kind of gets in a bunch of bar fights. He's mixed up with these gangs, and he's he's still a druggie like 20 years down the road, and he meets this woman. So this Asian woman, you guessed it. He's in Shanghai, so she's Asian. They get hitched basically. And it kind of fast forwards to them in their house and whatnot. And then year 30 comes around, or like 29, like it's like month 11 or something. I don't think it's exactly 30 years, but it's right about 30. And the G-Men, which they call G-Men, are the assassins. The G-Men are set to basically close the loop or hunt down people, versus the Loopers are assassins. They kill the mob, the mob's people they send back. The G-Men are the guys that hunt down Loopers that are bad, or something, the mafia needs done, or someone they need assassinated. So G-Men are the assassination, the assassins of the current time they're in. So there's a bunch of G-Men in JGL's time. There's a bunch of G-Men in Bruce Willis's time. So they come to his house. They look like Jews. I don't know why they look like Jews, but I think they look like Jews. They look weird. They have hats. They have 6 shooters because why not? It's 2074 and they have 6 shooters. They have old 45 long Colts. Why the hell not? Why not, everyone? Why not? But they try to take out Bruce Willis, and one guy shoots, and goes over this later, kind of spaces out between scenes, but just to cover time. One guy shoots, and it takes out his wife. So he kills the wife that he knew, so near and dear to him, and got him off drugs and put him on a righteous path and set him right. And they kill his wife, and then they take him, and they're about ready to time travel him. And he ends up, he Die Hards his way out, kicking people down, shoving them, pushing them around. And then they put him in this time traveling device, which they also don't go over at all. They have a couple scenes with it. It's like this one in particular, he jumps into it. It's like a big vault. If you've ever seen like a cremator, basically, but it's like a kind of like a space shuttle looking thing. But he gets in there, or like an old school oven, I guess you could say. But he gets in there and he goes back in time. And now he's lived out his entire life. His wife's dead. He's trying to go over the people that killed his wife. So that's the mindset of Bruce Willis now. Bruce Willis goes back, and now they show us the same scene again, where he turns around, takes the blunderbuss to the back, throws a gold bar at JGL, and then runs up and fucking pop. and knocks down JGL. So we're greeted to that scene once again. So it's kind of a paradoxical loop, if you will. So we have JGL taking him out and then living his life, and then JGL turning into Bruce Willis, and then Bruce Willis coming back and evading JGL and then knocking him out. And we have Looper, the start of what seems to be the plot, basically. So knocks out JGL, takes his car, drives to the city. He goes to a library, kind of searches through records. He's looking at a couple different kids. So he's on a mission, and this is a very realistic plot point in this movie that I want to bring to your attention. A lot of filmmakers and science fiction will bring this up, but it never becomes reality. And if it was true, if time travel was a thing, it would become reality because it's the most effective way to make something happen. So essentially, Bruce Willis's mission is to go back in time, and which he did voluntarily, to kill the Rainmaker. So the Rainmaker is the guy in the future that sent the G-Man to kill his wife. Also, Rainmaker has killed millions of people and controls the city, and he's a very terrible person. So he's going back in time to kill essentially the child that would become the Rainmaker. So if you're logically thinking about time travel and the continuous loop and the space-time continuum, and if you're going back in time, like to say kill Hitler, which there's a Deadpool deleted scene in Deadpool 2. Check it out on YouTube or whatever else you got. And it has Deadpool going back to kill baby Hitler. Also very morbid, I know, but it is logical if you're trying to kill a dictator or a very bad person in the future. Take them out when they're a child. They're a lot easier to target, etc. And that's Bruce Willis's thinking throughout this movie. And it doesn't mess him up, which I like how they did the PTSD. But so he's looking, he finds a couple different kids, and he's not just killing every kid. He's not just going down the block and pop. He's not columbining the whole block. All right, he has a very systematic way. He's looking for every kid, and he has numbers. He's trying to figure out what those numbers mean. So the Rainmaker's basically been closing all the loops in the future. So he's killing off every single looper. He doesn't want loopers anymore. So everything's getting slashed. And I kind of skimmed over the scene, but one of JGL's friends didn't close his loop. He looked at his future self. His future self gets away, and then Jeff Daniels and his team take him and then torture him and beat the shit out of him, and then they end up killing him and his future self. So they close that loop. But the Rainmaker's sending people back in time, closing all the loops, slashing. Everything's half off, closing the loops. But JGL's loop is open, so he lets Bruce Willis. Well, doesn't really let Bruce Willis go away, but Bruce Willis leaves, goes to the city, and then eventually Bruce Willis comes back to meet with JGL. So we have this very tense scene between the two, and Bruce Willis is, he's like, I'm going to go after these guys that killed my wife, and I'm going to stop Rainmaker from ever even becoming, ever existing. And then, this is what I'm going to do. Like I say, my wife, this is what's happening. And then JGL, which was also taking a very logical perspective on this, which I appreciated in the movie with time travel and everything that's going on. So JGL comes back and he says, I don't care about you. I don't care about your wife. Show me a picture of your wife. I'm going to marry someone else. I don't care. I won't go to China. Like, I'll change all the future, which completely makes sense. And Bruce Willis gets super offended and defensive. And JGL, he's like, this is only gonna end one way. I'm gonna shoot you in the Steiner, and then I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna get my reward. I'm gonna close this loop, and that's it. And which Bruce Willis did. If you see, Bruce Willis closed his own loop, and we have a loop of the space-time continuum going over and over and over again. Paradoxical situation. So JGL tries to grab his gun out under the table because they're sitting in a diner, tries to grab his gun out, and then Bruce Willis kicks him in his weapon, in his hand, and then leaves, basically. Tries to leave and ends up taking JGL hostage after some, wrestling and whatnot. And the G-Men are coming after him, and Bruce Willis is taking out G-Men like a boss. He's diehard on steroids in this movie, everyone. If you haven't seen this movie, Bruce Willis, pop, and he's taking out G-Men. He doesn't care. So he takes out 2 or 3, like shoots them, and then JGL ends up leaving, wrestling out of his hold, and then Bruce Willis leaves the diner, and all the G-men are after Bruce Willis, including JGL, because he grabs one of the Colts and he's just running with the G-men. And it's actually kind of one of the funnier scenes in this movie, where Bruce Willis gets away on some hover bike, which actually is another cool invention. I like to mention inventions in my review. I'll take 1 second. This invention is a bike, a hovercraft, basically like in Star Wars, but it's set up like a Harley. So it's a Harley, has a hovercraft on the bottom. Pretty cool invention. One of the cooler inventions. They also have like recyclable energy in this. They have a lot of solar panels on the vehicles. They have certain things that are pretty cool inventions. They have a computer, like a laptop screen where he goes in the library. Bruce Willis goes in and he pulls out the screen, and the screen is transparent, and he has like everything, and he kind of touches like Minority Report. Pretty cool inventions. Some things that have been invented. This is also 2044, so everything will probably be invented within the next 10, 15 years, how stuff's going. But he gets on the bike, Bruce Willis escapes, he evades the G-Men and JGL, and then once they stop, the funny moment is JGL stops, the G-Men look around, and they're like, oh, it's JGL. And they start going after JGL. So they're like, holy shit, it's JGL. The one G-Man, which they don't really explain, I believe it's the son of Jeff Daniels. I might have missed it, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's the son of Jeff Daniels, and or I guess the grandparent of Jeff, I don't know. They don't really explain it. Anyway, the number 1 guy, or 2 guy, I guess, one of the G-Men. Jeff Daniels' relative, I guess we'll say, since he's from the future. But he's kind of zany, and he has a 6-year. He tries to flip around, and he bangs on stuff, and he's just a klutzy assassin, kind of supposed to be comic relief. I don't think it really worked in this movie, I will say that. There's a lot of good comedic scenes in this movie with Bruce Willis, between him and JGL. And, there's a kid that comes along that we'll go into later. But the zany, goofy, klutzy, quickest assassin, and he has the worst record, and he gets caught like 10 times in the movie. And he's supposed to be comic relief, but you're just like, he's an idiot, Anyway. So the G-Men are after JGL, and JGL loses them in the field. Yeah, so he runs into the field and loses them. So they're the worst detectives out there. Anyway, loses them in the field, and then he's greeted to the new character, Emily Blunt, which plays a mom. And he goes to coordinates. He has 3 addresses from Bruce Willis that he got, and he goes to the first one that he saw. And it's this crop, this giant crop, the farmhouse, and this mom that lives there, Emily Blunt, and she goes and make the long story short, he goes and tells her, he shows her the numbers, and he's like, what are these? And she gets super offensive, and she wants to kill him, and like all this other stuff. And she sees the numbers, and she's like, that's my kid's birthday, and that's the hospital area he was in, like the hospital number he was in. It was like, how many kids were born, I think, with that, was it that birthday and that exact hospital number at that exact time. So it was like a specific time too. So they got down, so Bruce Willis got down to 3 kids, which 3 kids he's out axe murdering, basically, to destroy any existence of the Rainmaker. So Bruce Willis is in the town, which is also, it's a very morbid scene, but it's very real. It's very real to the plot. So he goes out and he finds the first kid, and he pops the first kid. And then he walks away, and he's very remorse, because if he did, in fact, kill the Rainmaker, then he wouldn't exist. So he wouldn't be in that time period, because he'd never be sent back in time by the G-Men. So he knows once he kills a kid that is the Rainmaker, that he will disappear, and then he'll be with his wife in Asia, essentially. So kills the first kid, and you should see it in his face. It's really good acting. He's PTSD from killing this kid, and it messes him up. And so that goes on. Also, meanwhile, JGL, Little House on the Prairie, with Emily Blunt, and they kind of talk and blah, 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 go back and forth. And there's a lot of side plot there, which kind of lost me in this movie. It's kind of the mid, that halfway point a lot of movies have, where it kind of dies out and there's a lot of dialogue. stuff like that to build up a story you don't especially need. He learns that she is TK, telekinetic. She has abilities that she can flip a quarter and, not very pronounced abilities. Eventually, Bruce kills the first two kids, and they're both not the Rainmaker, so it leaves the last address where JGL is. G-Man come to look for JGL. They don't find him because he hides for a while, so he kind of evades them, and then eventually the G-Man sees the kid and knows that the mom's lying, finds JGL. Kid loses his shit. So the kid, whenever the kid feels threatened or stressed out, he'll lose his mind, and the kid will use his TK abilities to basically destroy the house, basically Jean Grey everybody to death. So he ends up killing the G-Man that points a gun at him, and then which turns out to be a good guy with JGL's friends. Meanwhile, the second kid. That's right, the second kid. So Bruce Willis goes for the second kid, goes to his bedroom, and the G-Man, the goofy G-Man I was talking about earlier, is waiting for him and shocks him with a taser. So Bruce Willis is out. Also, really cool scene. Bruce Willis wakes up in the area with Jeff Daniels. So Jeff Daniels, headquarters or house of operation, or whatever you want to call it, his operation center for all the loopers is where Bruce Willis wakes up. He ends up getting out of their harnesses and, breaking free of their hold. And we get the best scene in the movie, in my opinion, besides the end, which is Bruce Willis going ham on all the loopers and the G-Men. So Bruce Willis, mostly G-Men. But Bruce Willis goes in this armor, kills the armor guy, kills one of the G-Men, the 6-shooter pop, done. It's Bruce Willis. Come on, guys. It's John McClane. You can't try to kill John McClane. He's gonna try to kill you. It doesn't matter what kind of weapon he has. He could have a bow and arrow, and he's gonna fucking take all you guys out. It's John McClane. All right. Anyway, he goes in the armory. He grabs 2 P90s, which is, I believe, the only movie in history to have akimbo P90s in a kill scene. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he grabs one P90 at first, takes out a couple guys, and then goes back in the army, grabs a couple P90s, grabs a strap with grenades on it, a big-ass strap. And he goes on a killing rampage, killing all the G-Men that could possibly hinder or hurt his wife in any way. So he takes out the entire compound, essentially, which is a very, very intense action scene, which Ryan Johnson is really good at action. He has a couple good scenes. A lot of people hate on him for Star Wars. We won't get into Star Wars. I probably won't do Star Wars on this channel. So I do sci-fi, but I guess eventually I'll have to do Star Wars. So there's so many fans of Star Wars, I'm going to say something wrong and they're going to want me dead. So I'm not going to say that. I will say that Ryan Johnson has had some good direction and some good scenes. So this being one of them. Bruce Willis killing all the G-Men. He finally goes, down a couple hallways. He goes in this bigger garage area, throws a huge thing of grenades, kills like 6 G-Men. And then Jeff Daniels is locked in his little room, his office, essentially, with a couple of guys, and ready to Bruce Willis just killing them all. And then after that, the goofy, zany G-Man, the klutzy one wakes up, and he's greeted to all these dead bodies, and they're like, oh shit, what's going on? Walks down the hallway, sees them all, and eventually goes in the office and sees Jeff Daniels has been shot in the head, as well as his 2IC and his bookie and whoever else is in the room. And then he goes on a hunt to try and take out Bruce Willis, since he shot up all his friends. He killed up all the G-Men. He killed Daniels, killed everybody. So we're greeted to Bruce Willis going to the farm, which was the last address on his list, because he knows it wasn't the first 2 kids based on what he had, what happened. So he goes into the farm and he tries to track down the 3rd kid. And JGL tries to prepare the mom. He's like, hey, G-Men are going to be over here and everybody's going to come to this one area. So you need to get the hell out of here, because they have the G-Men's truck there. So he's like, take the truck, load everything, which, by the way, she loads up way too many things to be in a life-threatening situation. She has about 5 or 6 boxes. She has toys. She has blankets. She has like at least half the house, filled in that truck, in the bed of her truck. Which if you're ever in a life-threatening situation, don't load 10 boxes. Take 1 or a bag. Have a backpack filled with some stuff. Survive, about a week. Get a mountaineering pack. Throw that stuff in there. Throw it in your car. You're fine. Don't box 10 boxes when you're about to die. Anyway, she does that. And JGL goes out and he's greeted by Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis drives up in a little bread truck and he has all the gold in the back. And he's like, hey, don't worry about it. The G-men are dead. They're not going to hunt you, which is true. And Jeff Daniels is dead. They're not going to send anyone after you. Obviously he's going to have to avoid the cops, but he has like a bunch of gold. He's like, yeah, just take the gold, leave it alone. And he's like, I'm going to kill a kid. Because JDO's like, hey, you're still going to kill the kid? She had him up until then. And then Bruce was like, yeah, damn right, I'm going to kill that kid, which also a great line for this movie. Bruce Willis, yeah, damn right, I'm going to kill that kid. I'm like, oh, yes, Bruce Willis. Because the kid's kind of a little asshole at this point. He's like blowing people up and Gene Green the shit out of everything. So Dark Phoenix kid, you're going to die, buddy. Sorry. So, and then out of nowhere, the klutzy fucking G-Man comes back, which I don't know how we survived. Comes out with the little hover bike and tries to take out JGL, goes down all the way to this big ass dirt road, turns around, tries to take him out, and the JGL shoots at the dirt, so like gravel, which creates smoke. Lots of smoke from the dirt, but it theoretically makes sense, kind of. Anyway, he shoots the gravel dirt road, creating dust, which it does happen sometimes. Creating dust and goes in the guy's face, and he shoots him off the bike, and then he's done. Guy's dead. Turns around, Bruce Willis is gone, hunting for the kid. So he goes tries to find Bruce Willis, and he goes to a different road, and Bruce Willis catches up with the mom and the kid. And this is when Bruce Willis tries to, again, with the 6-shooter, like, why don't you take a sniper from the armory or anything other than the 6-shooter. Because real time, right? Most effective weapon in a arsenal is a blunderbuss and a 6-shooter. Thanks, Call of Duty. Anyway, tries to take out the mom or the kid. Well, tries to take out the kid. And shoots him, or shoots at the vehicle. So they're driving straight at him. And the kid loses shit once again. Tells the mom to stop. She doesn't stop. Uses TK abilities to flip the truck and basically crumble. I don't know why she didn't just drive off into the crop, but she's trying to kill him. Anyway, flips the truck with his mind. And Bruce Willis comes up and they evade him, get out of the truck, which if the truck flips, someone's getting injured, especially maybe not the little kid. I don't know, because you're tiny, but the mom, she's getting messed up. The truck is flipped and it's crumpled and they're not getting out of the vehicle. That's what I'm getting at. It's not going to happen. They're going about 50 and then it flips. Like, probably not going to happen. Anyway, they both get out of the vehicle, go into the field, try to run away. She says, keep running. And she was injured. She was kind of limping, which she should have been dead. But kind of limping. She's like, keep going, keep going. And the kid like runs out. And then Bruce Willis pulls out his 6-shooter. Oh, it's 2044. I get the aesthetic because, classic antique rifles and pistols and a blunderbuss. It's cool. It's pirate-like. It's the future assassin. What's going to have? Like, some fucking laser with the goddamn, attachment on your eye and some shit like Cable would have. But it's a cool idea, but it's not practical, Ryan. It's not practical, Ryan. You guys are gonna be like, you destroyed Star Wars. I know it's gonna happen on the comments. You're like, you destroyed it. God, the last Skywalker was shit, or the Last Jedi. Sorry, the Last Jedi was shit. I get everybody with that. It's like, fuck Ryan Johnson. All of my Star Wars fans are going to say the same exact thing when they see this. Fuck Ryan Johnson. I'm sorry. I like this movie. Ryan Johnson is a terrible director. He kind of messed up Star Wars. It's not a Star Wars review, guys. Don't get mad at me. So we agreed to basically the finale, the final scene, and Bruce Willis has a 6-shooter locked and cocked, ready to go, and he's about to pop this little kid in the face because Bruce Willis hates kids. He hates children. And he goes and he tries to pull it, pop, and he sees, JGL then sees what would inevitably happen in the future, which is him killing the mom, and then him tracking down the kid and popping the kid, or the kid gets away. The kid kills Bruce Willis. 3 eventualities that would probably happen. And he sees, so it's kind of a cool scene, a good dialogue here. And he says, when I saw it, he said he saw a man that would kill for his wife, because Bruce Willis is held on anything. Nobody getting in his way. He's going to kill anybody to save his wife. All right. So you see a man that would kill for his wife. You see a mom that would die for her child. So you see the mom that would do anything for her kid. She doesn't care. And she would die for her kid. And then you see the kid that's lost and his life's all messed up. And he says, you see the eventuality of what would become this very paradoxical loop, essentially. So he sees that and he takes the blunderbuss and he pops himself, he shoots himself, and then Bruce Willis is evaporated from existence. And then the mom catches up with, she never got shot, she catches up with the kid, and she eventually raises the kid into, hopefully, a good person, a valued member of society, versus the Rainmaker, which would destroy people and enslave people and do whatever else. They basically agreed to the end of the movie. Also, another minor detail which I like that they brought up was the kid gets shot in the jaw. And they're like, you know, when they're talking about him earlier in the film, when JGL and Bruce Willis are in the diner, they're talking back and forth, and they're like, yeah, the kid, you know, talking about the Rainmaker, he's like, apparently he has some cybernetic jaw or something of that nature. So Bruce Willis did get a shot off. I failed to mention that, sorry. Bruce Willis did get a shot off, and it goes through his jaw, and it kind of escapes him right there. And the kid has another freak out, you know, gravitational pull and all that shit. This big wind tunnel, and then he goes back down, and then we have JGL taking himself out. So kind of a cool scene at the end of the movie. Final thoughts. I really enjoyed Looper. It's one of my favorite movies, Bruce Willis. So it's my second Bruce Willis review next to Fifth Element. So I'm really glad I did do a video for Fifth Element, because you guys would have freaked the hell out as I did when I watched it again from 1997, the classic year, the golden era for science fiction. But this one with Bruce Willis was really good. He also does Surrogates, and he does a lot of different science fiction movies. 12 Monkeys is another one that I will probably review. There's a lot of different ones out there for Bruce Willis. He has a lot of good entertainment in the science fiction genre. Also, you got JGL, so my second JGL review, one being Treasure Planet. So this is my very first review in video form. So if you are interested in the other ones, go to Ico Comics Science Fiction Sunday on Spotify, or we got them on Facebook, Ico Comics page on Facebook. Please like and subscribe to that. It's also a newsletter. In the link below, we got our subscription button. Please subscribe to get cryogenically frozen, and look at the newsletter. Check out the site, which is attached on the link below, for any and all business we got. We got prints we're selling. We have the comic Killers #1 we're selling. We have Zayat #1 in Kickstarter, which is funded now. So if you do want a copy of Zayat #1, you can go on there and get your copy. Pledge whatever. Pledge $10, get your own copy delivered to you. That's including shipping, so pretty cheap. And it's full color, 30-page comic. Also, we got this comic right here. So Killers #1, the page and about 20-page long comic I did a couple years back. So you want this, it's on the store right now. Also, if you pledge on Zayat #1, you can get Zayat #1 and the Killers #1. But in conclusion, Looper. I give it a 8 out of 10. Pretty awesome movie. Pretty good performance from Bruce Willis as always. And JGL is really good. I'd like to see JGL in more science fiction. Also, Jeff Daniels, the golden point of this movie. Very, very good performance from Jeff Daniels. I wish we had more of him throughout the movie, but we didn't get that. Hopefully, Jeff Daniels is another serious role when we can delve into his characterization and how he does stuff. He's very, very good in those kind of roles, at least in my opinion. Let me know in the comments what you thought about Looper. What else you'd like to see. Remember to vote. We do our votes on Facebook every week. Vote on the next episode, our movie review we're going to do. All science fiction material. If you do like comic books, movies, books, whatever, let us know and I can review them. Also, we got our charities. So I'm proud to announce, there you go. Give it up for Fisher House Foundation. So Fisher House Foundation is bent on serving the community and helping out the veterans. Please give them a look. Donate some money. We'll have a fundraiser coming out for them very, very soon. So stay up to date on the page and everything we got for you guys.
At Fisher House Foundation, we put bricks together. We build homes away from home, close to military and VA medical centers, so free lodging and care are close together. But more importantly, we bring families together so they can recover, heal, and ultimately put their lives back together. Imagine what more we can do together.
Well, that's all I got.